Okay, so I was kind of on the fence if I was going to make this video, and I'll explain that to you in a little bit. But today I'm going to be talking about the new TV show, the new ABC TV show, The Equalizer. And this is the Queen Latifah's version of this show. We'll get right on to talking about this show right after the intro. Welcome back to the DL Jones Book Show. I'm your host, DL Jones, and on this show, on this channel, I talk about all types of story-related topics. They could be topics that you would find on movies, TV shows, video games, books, audiobooks. Any type of media that has a story could potentially be a topic on this show. Now, as I hinted to before, this episode I'm going to be talking about The Equalizer. Now, there have been 2 episodes of The Equalizer so far. I've watched both of them. I wanted to wait until after I watched the second episode, just to get a better idea of where how the show is and where the show is going before I actually made a video about it. And I did that, Sunday night. It came on Sunday night, I think at 9 or something like that. So I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm going to talk about, what I think about the show, what type of show it is and everything like that. But first, I want to tell you, if you want to hear more, you want to watch more videos about story-related topics, movie reviews, TV show reviews, book reviews, character analysis, any type of thing like that, make sure you click the subscribe button. And if you like this video, make sure you click the like button. Make sure other people can see this video also, because clicking like helps the channel out a lot. On this channel, I talk about a lot of different shows, and mainly I want to talk about things that I like. Shows that I like, movies that I like, books that I like, video games that I like, story things that I like. That's what I mainly want to talk about on this channel. Now, that's not to say I won't talk about things that I have problems with or have criticisms about. I'll talk about those things too. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to be one of these content creators or channels that have video after video of you bashing stuff. I don't want to be one of those people. I kind of feel like that's a little bit cheap. It's easy to get into a situation where you bash things, and I just don't want to be one of those people. So that was the problem I had with The Equalizer. Now, the thing about The Equalizer is that, I kind of wasn't sure about how I felt about the show. And before we get into how I feel about the show, let's just do a breakdown of what the show is. Okay, so The Equalizer, if you don't know, it's a brand or a series that's based on an old television show. Now, the old show came out sometime in the 80s. And then, what most of us know The Equalizer from, we might know that show, the old show in passing, but, let's be honest, most of us know The Equalizer from the Denzel Washington films that was based on that show. The Denzel Washington films, there were 2 of them, 2 Equalizer films starring Denzel Washington, and it kind of follows the similar format as a lot of these shows that came out around the same time, like Taken, and, there were several shows that were like that, almost a genre within itself. I almost kind of feel like the Taken movie has kind of developed a genre within itself, which is basically like a retired person, like a retired military guy, a retired CIA agent, a retired spy, somebody like that that's retired, that's living their life, and then somehow they're brought back to use the skills that they've learned in their old life to help with something that's going on present, in the present day. And it was the same thing. The Equalizer TV show with Denzel Washington was the same thing, and then of course, if you look at other shows that I choose to compare it to, like Taken, he's a retired person, his daughter gets kidnapped, and now he got to bring back his skills that, really nobody knows that he has, to go and get his daughter back, Now, one thing about The Equalizer, the movie, the Denzel Washington movie, and, the other movies that I'm comparing it to, one thing about those movies is that they are generally action-based, because the whole premise is that, this is a retired whatever, CIA agent or whatever, and they have all of these skills, which includes, they have skills with investigation. They have skills as far as hand-to-hand combat, using weapons, all kinds of stuff like that. They have all of these skills, and like they're surrounding people that surround them, like in their lives, their wives, kids, and all of that kind of stuff, don't know about their past life, so they don't know that they have those skills. And then they get pulled into these situations because they are protecting or trying to save or doing something with somebody that's in trouble, and the people that are causing the trouble don't realize that they have messed with the wrong person. That's basically the show, the movie. And one thing about the Equalizer movie is that there are some pretty cool fight scenes. Now we come to the TV show. You have the Equalizer TV show. This time the show stars Queen Latifah, and she's the person now that you have to look at as the retired CIA agent. She's living her own life. She's retired. She has a daughter. She's trying to be a mom. She's doing like trying to live like the normal family life. And she was brought into a situation where she has to help someone that gets in some kind of trouble, no fault of their own. They just kind of fall into some trouble. And it's the type of trouble that person can't call the police, because the police are maybe in on it or something like that. So Queen Latifah's character, has to use her skills as a retired CIA agent to help this person, and get this person out of trouble. And the 2 episodes I've watched, pretty much followed that same format. One thing you find about this movie, this TV show, is that a lot of these situations generally are situations where she's helping women and families, single parent families, generally women, and they're like in situations where they have nowhere to turn. They don't know what to do. And Queen Latifah's character is the one that helps them get out of it, which, I think it fits pretty well. A lot of these shows, they try to bring, a lot of shows these days, especially 2020 and 2021, a lot of shows, they try to bring in different representation, because it's always good to have different representation. You don't want to have everything available to you just being, the white man saving everybody, So a lot of these shows try to bring in different representation. Some shows, they bring in the LGBTQ aspect of it, and some shows will bring in women, giving women more screen time and having women doing more things. Some shows have more minorities doing things, whether it could be like Black people or Asian people or stuff like that. And that's good. That's fine. I love when TV does that, and I'm love that people, producers, and Hollywood and stuff are paying attention to those things. But the problem I find a lot of time with those shows and movies that do that is that it feels a little bit pandering. Like, for example, I give an example, the TV show Batwoman, they bring in a lot of LGBTQ, into that show, which is good. But when I see it, it's almost cringeworthy. It's almost like an announcement. Hey, we're doing this. See, that's how it feels when I watch that show. With the Equalizer, I don't feel that way. The Equalizer, everything kind of seems seamless. She straight up says she's looking to help people who needs help and don't have nowhere to turn. And she caters towards, women and single moms and stuff like that, at least in the first 2 episodes. But it feels natural to me. It doesn't feel like it's pandering. It doesn't feel like they're announcing to the world, hey, we're doing this. Look, it doesn't feel that way. So the show itself, the Equalizer show itself, reminds me a lot of a few of my favorite television shows that are out now. I give some examples: MacGyver, Magnum PI, shows like that. The Equalizer kind of feels like it's following the same type of format. It's a procedural, it may have an overarching story that's kind of in the background. I haven't figured out what that was yet, or if they even are doing something like that. Well, I guess at one point she's, the CIA actually wants her to come back. So that's kind of a thing. I guess at some point, from the first 2 episodes, I can tell that she had some kind of falling out with the CIA, which is the reason why she left. and the CIA wants her back, and she don't want to have anything to do with them, So that's kind of like a background overarching little plot thing that's going on. But yeah, but basically the show is similar to those other shows like MacGyver and Magnum PI and similar shows that's like that, where you basically have a team of people that solve crimes. They're not police officers. They're not anything like that. They're kind of like vigilantes, and they just solve crimes. They help people who needs help, and they solve all of these crimes, and they kind of do the things that, being that they're not police officers and they're not law enforcement and stuff like that, they're able to do things that police officers and stuff like that aren't able to do because of rules and stuff like that. Now, the Equalizer is the same thing. You have Queen Latifah's character. She's playing the main character, but she also has her team. She has the computer guy, which is played by Adam Goldberg. And then she has like another person, which I haven't figured out what her role is yet, but she got another person played by Lisa Lapira. That's her name. I just had to look it up right quick because I didn't know her name. But anyway, she has another person, so she has her team, and then she has sort of like this contact, I guess is the person kind of serves, from what I can understand, as like a handler from when she was with the CIA, and she's like her connection to the CIA. He's the one that I'm guessing when she was with the CIA, Queen Latifah's character, this guy was her handler, and you could tell they have a good relationship. They're good friends and stuff like that. So he kind of seemed like he's still serving like the same purpose as for her, now that she's in the private sector, So she has like a team, she has a team of people just like those other shows. They don't always do everything by themselves. They have a team, of people. They always have like a computer guy. They always have like an enforcer. They always, they just have a team of people with different specialties to help them solve all of the cases that they take on. And this show is no different. The Equalizer TV show is kind of built out to be, made in the same vein with the team of people. Each person have their specialty in doing things. So the one thing that I was thinking about when they first announced this show is like Queen Latifah, Dana Owens. Now she is one person, I remember Queen Latifah. The first I heard of Queen Latifah was when she was a rapper, years and years and years ago. Yeah, I'm that old, That was my first experience with Queen Latifah, and that's what I've known her as for years and years and years. But she's also a good actor. She does, she's a good actor. I picture her doing a lot. I've seen her doing movies, and she's always been a good actor. I've always thought of her as a good actor. But the thing I didn't think of her as is an action actor, someone that does action scenes. I felt like she was really good in comedic roles. I felt like she's really good in dramatic roles, but I just couldn't picture her doing an action scene. And if you look at The Equalizer, the first thing you think of is the films starring Denzel Washington, and you think of Denzel Washington kicking butt. He had action scenes, So that was the part that was kind of iffy to me when I first heard about it. And, the show came on, and I want to say there has been maybe 2 or 3 action scenes between the 2 episodes that I've watched. And when I say action scenes, I'm talking about hand-to-hand action scenes, hand-to-hand combat type fighting scenes. The first one happened kind of at the very beginning of the first episode. And you know what? It was not a good action scene. It was a lot of quick cuts. It was a lot of dark. You couldn't make out what was going on. They tried to it seemed like they was really creative about that scene, trying to give you the same feeling of a fast, quick paced action scene to show you how bad that this new character that Queen Latifah's playing is. But it was one of those scenes that kind of annoy me when I go to the movies and they shoot action scenes like this with a lot of quick cuts and weird camera angles, and you can't even see what's going on. It was that, And then the second action scene that I can think of is in the first episode there was another action scene. It was a quick one where she just disarmed a person, and it worked. It was serviceable. But still after 2 episodes, I kind of don't buy her in those action scenes. So far, they shot the action scenes in a way to where, they don't ask a whole lot from her. So you pretty much are just basically going on if you buy it, Not necessarily what you see on screen, but do you buy it? And to this point, I don't really buy it. And it may just be because this is a new show. Maybe she'll settle in. Maybe she'll become more believable. Because you see that with shows sometimes. Sometimes the first couple of episodes, the actors are just warming up to the characters, and they're just getting their bearing. And after a while, things get better, and things get shot better, and the person gets more believable in those roles, in those little questionable aspects of that role. And that may be the case here. I don't know. I might give it a shot for a little while longer to see how it goes. But one thing about the show is that the show is not completely based on those action scenes. So it's not like the show hinges on those action scenes. The only reason I think about them is because the movies are what's on my mind. The Denzel Washington Equalizer movies are what I have to compare to, because to me, that's, when I think of the Equalizer, I think of those movies. Everything else, she does pretty good. Like I said, I think she's a good actor. She does drama really good. And then they have, she has a child that she's trying to deal with, trying to be a good mother to this child while also hiding her, her life of, helping people, trying to hide that from her child and stuff. And that part is pretty good. And her, doing the investigation, showing up, questioning people, figuring things out, that works for me. But the action scenes are the only things that don't. And to be honest with you, the way the show is set up, they could probably get away with not having as many action scenes, or they can do like how they did with MacGyver. When MacGyver, the TV show MacGyver first started, you didn't look at MacGyver himself as the person that does the fighting. They always put him with a person that's sort of like an enforcer. At first they had Jack. He was the enforcer. Every time they got in scenes where they was fighting, Jack was the one that did the bulk of the work. And now they have, Jack has left the show, and now they have a new person. I can't think of her name, but it's a woman, and she's the one that does the bulk of the fighting. But, as the seasons went on, as the episodes went on, the character that played MacGyver, he started doing more and more fighting scenes. And now he gets in there and he does fighting scenes just like everybody else. And you don't even think nothing of it. Everybody on that show does fighting scenes now, and you don't think anything of it. But yeah, maybe the Equalizer will get to that point too. Now, what do I think about the show? Do I enjoy the show? Now, I don't know if I enjoy the show yet. I'm going to give it a couple of more episodes before I decide if it's going to be one of my shows, It's the type of show that I like because, like I said, it reminds me of MacGyver. It reminds me of Magnum P.I., and those two shows are some of my favorite, television watching these days. I'm not saying that they're like the best shows ever, but they are some of my favorites right now, Always tune in to watch those shows. And this show kind of follows the same format. It seemed like it's basically the same type of show, with a little bit of a different skin on it, And it all hinges on, for me, how much I believe Queen Latifah when she's doing things. And right now, I want to say it's about 60-40 when it comes to that stuff, There were a couple of cringy lines, but, when you got a new show starting out, sometimes there will be those cringy lines, But for the most part, take away this action scenes. For the most part, I'm in, for the rest of it. But the action scenes is the only thing that kind of kind of ruins it for me. But they may get better, or they may get to a point where they don't become a large part of the show, which I kind of feel like that's the route they should go. I kind of feel like they should lessen the action scenes, the hand-to-hand combat scenes. Now, if they're just in the scene where somebody's pointing guns and they're good at shooting people, that's one thing. But the hand-to-hand action scenes, it's hard to fake that, You have to be able to act in a way where it's believable that when I look, I can see that character doing that in real life, we all know it's make-believe, so you don't know. Like, for example, who knows if, Denzel Washington, anyway, he's close to 70 years old. He's not going to go into a room and beat up 6 people. But when you're watching him on screen, you want to be able to look and believe that he can do that, But right now, I don't believe that with this new iteration of the Equalizer. If the show kind of hinges on that and expects you to believe that and doubles down on that, then I believe they're going to have a difficult time, But if they find ways around it, storytelling, creative people, they can come up with storytelling that don't necessarily have to have you, relying on just to make a TV show, entertaining, And I don't think that they necessarily need to have that on this show. But yeah, that's how I feel about that's how I am. That's what I'm thinking right now about the Equalizer. So far I'm iffy on the show. I enjoyed watching the first two episodes, but I can't say I'm to a point where I'm ready to put this on my regular weekly watching yet. I may give it a couple more episodes before I make that decision. But, that's where we are, the Equalizer. I would say go ahead and check it out, or if you've watched it, let me know what you think about it. Right now, if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it's 61% for the tomato score, which is still like in the good, still in the good. But if you look at the audience score, it's like 30%, so it looks like the critics like it more so than the general audience, But that's the Equalizer, and new TV show on, I think it's ABC. And if you haven't checked it out yet, I would say give it a watch. It's good enough to give it a watch and decide for yourself what you think about the character. Does she, can you buy it? Can you buy Dana Owens, Queen Latifah, as the Equalizer? Can you buy her as someone that can walk into a room and take out a group of people? Can you buy her solving crimes? Which I can. But that's the Equalizer, and I just wanted to get up here and just drop a few words about the show, how I'm feeling about it so far, what I think about it so far. I don't think it's bad, but I'm not sure if I think it's a show that I'm going to continue to watch, but I'm going to give it, I like it enough to give it a couple more episodes before I make that decision. But that's the Equalizer starring Queen Latifah. If you like this video, make sure you click the like button and subscribe, and that's what I have for you today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. You made it to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. While you're here, why don't you check out that video right there? Or maybe that one right there. And, while you're at it, go ahead and click my image in the middle there and subscribe to this channel.